The year is 1348. The Black Death has retreated, but its shadow lingers. The streets, once bustling with life, now echo with the silence of loss. The air is thick with the memories of those who perished, and the survivors carry the weight of their absence. Nowhere is this more palpable than in Canterbury, where the magnificent St. Augustine's Cathedral stands as a testament to faith and fear. This grand structure, with its towering spires and intricate design, is a beacon of hope amidst the lingering despair. Its twin towers pierce the sky, while below a labyrinth of stone arches and stained glass windows evokes a chilling beauty. The craftsmanship is a marvel, each stone telling a story of devotion and artistry, each window a kaleidoscope of divine light. The air hums with the murmur of prayers and the echo of chanting monks. Their voices rise and fall, creating a symphony of faith that reverberates through the hallowed halls. The flickering candles cast a warm glow, their flames dancing in the dim light, symbolizing the fragile hope that persists. But within the cathedral's heart, a darkness festers, hidden beneath layers of incense and piety. The shadows seem to move with a life of their own, whispering secrets of the past and the unseen struggles of the present. The scent of incense mingles with the musty air, creating an atmosphere both sacred and foreboding. The cathedral was more than just a place of worship. It was a center of community life, a place where people gathered not only to pray, but to find comfort in each other's company. It was a hub of activity where the lines between the sacred and the mundane often blurred. It was a sanctuary, a refuge from the chaos and despair that had gripped the world. Within its walls, the faithful found a semblance of peace, a momentary escape from the harsh realities outside. The cathedral offered a sense of stability in a world turned upside down. People flocked to its doors seeking solace and salvation. Pilgrims traveled from distant lands drawn by tales of miracles and the promise of divine intervention. They came with heavy hearts and weary souls, hoping to find healing and redemption within the sacred space. But for Elias, the cathedral was his world, a universe of stone and shadow where he found both solace and torment. As a young monk, he had dedicated his life to the service of the church, finding comfort in the rituals and the sense of purpose they provided. Yet the same walls that sheltered him also imprisoned him, the weight of his vows pressing down like the very stones of the cathedral. Elias often wandered the vast corridors, his footsteps echoing in the silence. He would pause before the stained glass windows, losing himself in the vibrant colors and the stories they depicted. Each window was a portal to another world, a reminder of the divine presence that permeated the cathedral. His days were filled with prayer, study, and the maintenance of the cathedral. He found solace in the routine, the predictability of his duties providing a counterbalance to the uncertainty of the world outside. Yet there were moments when the shadows seemed to close in, and the weight of his solitude became almost unbearable. At night, the cathedral took on a different character. The moonlight filtered through the stained glass, casting ethereal patterns on the stone floor. In these quiet hours, Elias felt a deeper connection to the divine, a sense of peace that eluded him during the day. It was in these moments of solitude that he found the strength to continue to face the darkness both within and without. From the heights of the cathedral, Elias would look out over the city of Canterbury. As dawn broke, the first light of day would illuminate the streets, chasing away the shadows of the night. The cathedral stood as a sentinel, a symbol of resilience and hope in a world forever changed by the Black Death. For Elias, it was a reminder that even in the darkest times, there is always a glimmer of light. Elias, the Hunchback of St. Augustine's, was born under a blood-red moon. This ominous beginning seemed to set the tone for his entire life, a life marked by struggle and solitude. His twisted back and misshapen limbs marked him as different, an outcast. From the moment he could walk, he was met with whispers and stares, the townsfolk's eyes filled with a mixture of pity and revulsion. Abandoned at the cathedral steps as a babe, he was taken in by the monks. They found him swaddled in a tattered blanket, his cries echoing through the cold stone walls of the cathedral. They named him Elias after the prophet who ascended to heaven in a whirlwind. The monks believed that perhaps this name would bring him some divine protection, a shield against the harshness of the world. Little did they know how apt that name would prove to be. Elias, like his namesake, would rise above his earthly struggles, though not in the way they imagined. Elias grew up within the cathedral walls, his world confined to its cold, echoing chambers. The vast, empty spaces became his playground, the stone statues his silent companions. He found solace in the company of the stonemasons and carvers. These men, with their rough hands and gentle hearts, became his mentors, teaching him the ancient art of sculpting. Their chisels sang a symphony against the stone, shaping it into saints and sinners, angels and demons. Each strike of the hammer, each careful chisel stroke, was a note in a melody that resonated deeply within Elias. Elias's nimble fingers, however, were drawn to the grotesque. While others sculpted serene faces and holy figures, Elias found beauty in the twisted and the tormented. He sculpted gargoyles and chimeras, their contorted features mirroring the turmoil he felt within. Each grotesque creation was a reflection of his own inner demons, a way to externalize his pain. The other monks shunned him, their eyes filled with fear and disgust. They saw his creations as abominations, a blasphemy against the sanctity of the cathedral. But Elias paid them no mind. He had long since learned to ignore the judgment of others, finding solace instead in the stone and his own imagination. He found solace in his art, pouring his pain and loneliness into each grotesque creation. The act of sculpting became a form of therapy, a way to channel his emotions into something tangible. The gargoyles became his companions, their silent gazes his only comfort. In their twisted forms he found a reflection of his own soul, a connection that transcended words and judgment. As the years passed, Elias's skill grew, and so did his reputation. Though the monks continued to shun him, word of his unique talent spread beyond the cathedral walls. The townsfolk, once filled with fear and revulsion, began to see Elias in a new light. They marveled at the grotesque beauty of his creations, their initial horror giving way to a grudging respect. Elias, however, remained unchanged. He continued to pour his heart and soul into his work, each new creation more intricate and haunting than the last. One stormy night, as lightning illuminated the cathedral and its grotesque guardians, Elias felt a strange sense of peace. He realized that despite his physical deformities and the scorn of others, he had found his purpose. Standing atop the cathedral, looking out over the town, Elias felt a connection to the world that he had never felt before. His gargoyles, once mere stone, seemed to come alive in the storm, their silent gazes filled with understanding. In that moment, Elias understood that his grotesques were not just reflections of his own pain, but also symbols of resilience and strength. They were a testament to his ability to transform suffering into beauty. With renewed determination, Elias descended from the cathedral. He knew that his journey was far from over, but he was no longer alone. His grotesques would always be with him, silent witnesses to his triumphs and struggles. As the first light of dawn illuminated the cathedral, Elias felt a sense of hope. The blood-red moon that had marked his birth was now a distant memory, replaced by the promise of a new day. Elias walked through the cathedral, his head held high. The gargoyles watched over him, their silent gazes a reminder of the strength and beauty that can be found in even the most twisted forms. The cathedral, with its grotesque guardians, stood as a symbol of resilience, and Elias, the sculptor of grotesques, had found his place in the world, a place where he could transform pain into beauty and loneliness into art. Bishop Armand Blackwood was a man of God in name only. His title and robes were mere facades, masking a heart as dark as the shadows that danced on the cathedral walls. His heart was black, his soul corrupted by greed and lust for power. The gold crucifix he held was not a symbol of faith, but a trophy of his conquests, a testament to his insatiable hunger for control. He saw the cathedral not as a house of worship, but as a symbol of his authority, a stage for his ambition. The towering spires and intricate stained glass windows were not meant to inspire awe of the divine, but to reflect his own grandeur and dominance. He despised Elias, seeing in the hunchback's deformity a mockery of God's creation. To Blackwood, Elias was a blemish on the otherwise perfect tapestry of his domain, a constant reminder of the imperfections he sought to eradicate. He often sneered at Elias's gargoyles, calling them abominations and spawn of the devil. Each grotesque figure seemed to mock him, their twisted faces a silent rebellion against his tyranny. Elias, in turn, loathed the bishop. His hatred was not born of envy or spite, but of a deep-seated sense of justice. He saw through Blackwood's piety, recognizing the darkness that lurked beneath the surface. He saw through Blackwood's piety, recognizing the darkness that lurked beneath. The bishop's sermons, filled with fire and brimstone, were nothing more than a smokescreen, a way to manipulate and control the masses. He carved his contempt into the gargoyles, twisting their features into grotesque parodies of the bishop's face. Each chisel stroke was an act of defiance, a way to channel his anger and frustration. He knew it was a dangerous game he played, but he could not help himself. The gargoyles were his voice, his only weapon against the bishop's cruelty. Each grotesque figure was a silent scream, a cry for justice in a world that had long since forgotten it. The gargoyles were his voice, his only weapon against the bishop's cruelty. They stood as silent sentinels, watching over the cathedral, their twisted faces a testament to Elias's unyielding spirit. The tension between them crackled in the air, a storm waiting to break. Every encounter was a battle of wills, a clash of light and darkness. The cathedral, once a place of peace and reflection, had become a battleground, its sacred halls echoing with the unspoken conflict. And break it did with the sudden and mysterious disappearance of Eliza Marlowe. The townspeople whispered of dark deeds and hidden sins, their fear palpable in the air. The cathedral, now shrouded in an eerie silence, seemed to hold its breath, waiting for the truth to be revealed. The disappearance of Eliza was the catalyst, the spark that would ignite the flames of retribution. The bishop's malice had sown the seeds of his own downfall, and Elias, with his chisel and stone, would be the harbinger of justice.